be seated. I'll call a case State of Wisconsin versus Todd Kendhammer, 16 CF 909, appearances.
State by Tim Grinke and Susan Donsky.
Good morning, Judge. Todd Kendhammer is here in person with counsel Jonas Bednarik, Stephen Hurley, and again present is Siobhan Cagle, our paralegal.
Okay, be seated. All right, is the jury all ready to go? Okay, anything we need to put on the record before we begin?
I didn't know when the judge wanted to briefly discuss instructions, if you want to do that now, if you want to do that later. We talked yesterday about, and we can do it at any time, it doesn't bother me.
I'm not going to give them before today, right?
Correct.
So we'll take care of that a little later.
Fair.
Thank you. All right, nothing else then. Bring the jury in. Okay, you may all be seated. Sorry to make you wait. My Veterans Court went just a little longer than it should have, but we got that done. All right, are we ready to continue?
Yes.
I believe that Mr. Grinke was going to be ready to start his cross-examination of Mr. Kendhammer, correct?
Yes.
Mr. Kendhammer, come on back up. We'll have you re-sworn since this is a new day.
Under penalty of perjury, do you solemnly, sincerely, and truly declare and affirm that the testimony about to give in this matter shall be the truth and whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Okay.
Mr. Kendhammer, I just have a couple of questions for you about your conversation with the police on September 22nd. Do you remember that?
I do, yes.
Do you remember telling them that you had spoken to your father about the accident?
Yep.
And you told police that your father had said that he thought what was coming at the windshield was a swallow.
Yep.
He told you that he lunged to grab at it and punched through the windshield.
Yep.
He said that he then knocked the shifter into reverse, backing it into the ditch. Right?
Okay, yeah.
You told the police that you don't remember any mention of getting a windshield on Thursday night when you were there. Is that right?
You mean getting a truck for a windshield or getting an actual windshield?
Getting it, well, either. Was there any discussion about a windshield Thursday night?
I don't remember.
You told the police that you believed your father had off that weekend or had traded to get off because it was a camping weekend.
Okay, yeah.
Is that accurate?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
That's all I have.
It's been dark.
Thursday, September 15th of 2016, you told us yesterday that you had returned from college in Stevens Point that day.
Yep.
Did you speak with your father on the way home?
Yeah, I believe I called him. I was coming I think I was just coming out of Fort McCoy, heading into Sparta, somewhere right around there.
Do you remember what you spoke with him about?
I don't exactly know.
Did you see Todd Kendhammer on that evening when you'd come home?
Yeah, I remember seeing him upstairs. I remember talking with him a little bit.
Was that when the assembly of the deer stand was discussed?
Yeah, I believe we probably mentioned it in there. That and among talking about camping for the weekend, I believe we tried to get a time set up and we could get that put up. He knew I wanted to put up, and he wanted it out of the garage as well. So
Everything seemed normal and usual on Thursday evening?
oh yeah, yep.
Everything seemed normal and usual on Friday morning when you heard your parents upstairs?
Yeah.
Nothing else?
Mr. Grinke, anything else?
No, Your Honor.
At this time, does any jury have a question for Mr. Kendhammer? See no hands. Okay, Mr. Kendhammer, you may step down. Thank you.
Mike. Michael Service? Sorry, Judge, apparently Mr. Services just went to plug his parking meter, so we'll call Tina McCoy.
Tina McCoy, all right.
Under penalties of perjury, do solemnly, sincerely, and truly declare and affirm that the testimony about to give in this matter shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Right over here.
Good morning, Ms. McCoy.
Good morning.
Could you state and spell your name for the court reporter?
Tina McCoy, T-A-N-A-M-C-C-O-Y,
Where do you live?
Sparta, Wisconsin.
For how long have you lived in Sparta?
Only 6 months. Prior to that, we lived in West Salem. We,
And when you say we, who do you mean?
my husband and I,
For how long did you live in West Salem?
17 years.
Grew up in the area?
Yes, for all my life.
The man to my left wearing the shirt without a tie. Do you know him?
Yes,
Who's that?
Todd Kendhammer.
How do you know Todd Kendhammer?
Been a friend for 30 years, married to my best friend.
Your best friend is Barbara Kendhammer?
Yes,
When did you meet Barbara?
first grade, and became best friends ever since. Pretty much inseparable.
When you say inseparable, and I know from first grade on is a long time, but as you came into your high school years, can you just identify some of the things that you do together?
Pretty much everything. Stayed at each other's house, did everything together. I think Babe and Joyce probably thought they had another daughter they weren't aware of. I was over there all the time. Barb stayed at my house all the time. We just spent every minute together. We even lived together after high school. We were in each other's weddings, godparents to our children, and remained friends ever since.
You were in Barb and Todd's wedding,
Yes,
and Barbara was in your wedding?
Todd and Barb were in our wedding.
Who got married first?
I did.
Would you speak with Barbara often?
Yes,
Text?
yes,
Phone calls?
yes.
See each other?
Yeah, we walked the coulee a lot. We lived just a couple miles from each other.
Would Todd Kendhammer go with you on those walks?
No, it's just Barb and I.
How often would you do that?
Depending on the weather. We were fair weather walkers.
And when you would go with Barbara for walks, I assume you had conversations?
Absolutely.
Were those personal conversations?
Yeah, I talked a lot about family, friends, what they've been up to, remodeling homes, remodeling Jessica. They were doing some remodel. Our home was being remodeled, just what they've been up to, her and Todd, Doug and I.
Would she speak about Todd Kendhammer?
Absolutely.
And what kinds of things would she say about Todd?
Objection, hearsay.
Sustained.
Did Barbara Kendhammer ever complain to you about Todd?
Never.
Did Barbara Kendhammer ever complain of Todd acting inappropriately towards her?
Never.
Do you know what kind of things Todd and Barbara did together?
They love to go for Sunday rides. They love to hang out together, go for Friday fish. They went for walks themselves together.
I'm sorry, what was that?
They went for walks themselves together. Just hang out, spend time with their family, their granddaughter.
Do you know, did they enjoy camping?
Yes, they did.
Did you ever camp with them?
No,
Not a camper.
not as much.
Okay. And any of those times that you saw Barbara, spoke with Barbara, walked with Barbara, did you ever see any types of injuries on Barbara that were unexplained?
Never.
Never sort of wore sunglasses to cover her eyes?
No.
Never saw any marks on her that she described sort of oddly?
Never.
Turning your attention towards the middle of September of 2016. Do you remember that time frame?
Yes.
When did you become aware of the accident?
Her daughter Jessica had called me and told me that her parents were in an accident.
When? When did Jessica call you?
I don't recall the exact time.
Were you told the severity of the accident at that point?
She just said that her mom was pretty badly hurt, and I went to the hospital.
Drive yourself to the hospital?
Yes.
Who was there when you arrived?
Close family, Barb's family, Todd's family, and a couple of Barb's close friends.
Did you see Todd at the hospital?
Yes,
Did you speak with Todd?
briefly.
How would you describe his demeanor?
Distraught, in shock, devastated. His best friend was fighting for her life.
Miss McCoy, what was your demeanor like?
Just terrified, scared, worried.
Did there come a time when you were made aware that there was very little hope for Barbara?
Yeah, her brother David had called me Saturday morning and told me that she wasn't going to make it.
After receiving that news, what did you do?
I went to the hospital.
And Barbara passed a short time later?
Yes.
Were you able to say goodbye to your best friend?
Yep. I held her hand and said my goodbyes.
In August, the month preceding Barbara's death, were you aware of an anniversary party?
Yes.
And when in August was the anniversary party?
First week in August.
You knew that was a surprise party?
Yes.
Who planned it?
Their kids.
Were you there?
Yes.
Were you there for the whole night?
Yes.
Were you able to observe Todd and Barbara Kendhammer that night?
Yeah.
What did you observe?
We were there before they arrived. They were happy, surprised, in love, dancing, enjoying each other's company. Very thankful for the kids for surprising them with such a joyous party.
The behaviors that Barb and Todd exhibited towards each other that night, were they consistent with how they interacted with each other throughout the time that you knew them together?
Absolutely. Always having fun together, smiling, holding hands, laughing, just enjoying each other's company.
How would you describe their relationship?
Best friends, loving, caring, do anything for each other.
Thank you. I don't have any other questions.
Tomsky?
Did you ever talk to Todd Kendhammer about the accident or the incident?
And briefly,
Did you ask him why he was heading north that morning instead of towards West Salem?
no, I did not.
Did you ask him why he was not able to get Barb to work on time that morning?
No, I did not.
And in your testimony, you said that you never saw injuries on Barbara Kendhammer throughout your friendship with her.
That is correct.
Did you ask Todd why she had injuries to her arms, legs, face, and head resulting from one pipe?
No, I did not.
Nothing further.
Bernard, anything else?
No, thank you.
At this time, does any juror have any questions of Ms. McCoy? See no questions? All right, you may step down. Thank you.
Call Michael's service.
Under penalties of perjury, do you solemnly, sincerely, and truly declare and affirm that the testimony about to give in this matter shall be the truth and the whole truth?
Okay, here we go.
Good morning.
Good morning.
273.
Could you state your name for the record, please?
Michael Thomas Service.
And could you spell your last name?
Service is S-E-R-V-A-I-S.
The man to my left, do you know him?
Yes,
Who is he?
that's Todd Kendhammer.
How do you know him?
He's my father-in-law.
You were married to,
Jessica Service.
how long have you and Jessica been married?
Approximately 4.5 years.
And prior to that time, how long did you and Jessica date or court before marriage?
About another 4 to 5 years.
Do you know the Kendhammer family well?
I do.
Spend a lot of time at their house?
I did.
Spend a lot of time with Barbara?
Yes.
Spend a lot of time with Todd?
Yes.
How would you describe Todd and Barbara's relationship?
To me, their relationship was perfect.
What do you mean by that?
They had the love and the same interests that me and my wife share. They get along very well. They do everything together. They just seem overall happy all the time.
Mr. Service, where do you live?
I live on East Scotch Clear Road in West Salem.
I'm sorry, how far from Barbara and Todd Kendhammer's home is that? Their
Their old home,
old home, I'm sorry.
quarter mile.
I'm sorry, quarter mile?
Yeah.
You're very close together.
Yes.
How often, if you can estimate, would you see Todd Kendhammer?
Probably 5 out of 7 days a week.
Why so often?
We did everything together. House remodels, going out for dinner, going up to their house, shopping on the weekends. Kind of did everything together.
House remodeling, can you tell the jury about that?
Yes. Our first house that we bought was in Galesville. Todd and Barb helped us with picking out the colors for the flooring, the paint colors, cabinets, all that. And then our house down in Alaska that we just sold, they were a big part of helping us with our addition, kitchen remodel, bathroom remodel.
Were you and Todd Kendhammer working together then on many of those projects?
Yes.
August of 2016, early August, were you part of, involved with the planning of a surprise 25th anniversary party?
Yes.
Can you tell the jury what that was about?
Jessica, my wife, and I, and Jordan, all planned a surprise 25th anniversary at the log cabin in Bangor. You know, we had a band there, food, all their friends. I think there was over 100 people there that showed up. We gave them a gift card for the Freight House downtown La Crosse and a limo, and the limo dropped them off there, and then on their way home, the limo took a detour and dropped them off at the log cabin, and they were completely surprised.
Were you able to see both Barb and Todd's reaction when they arrived?
Yes.
And what was that?
They were both in tears because they were so happy.
Have you ever seen Todd cry before?
No.
Had you seen Barbara cry before?
Only when she was very happy, and you know, when Carlin was born, she cried. But
Carlin's your child?
yes,
How old is Carlin?
she is 2.
Were Todd and Barbara involved grandparents?
Very much so.
They take care of Carlin sometimes?
Yes.
How often?
Once a week, maybe once or twice a week, they'd take her to the mall or hang out at their house and just watch her for a few hours.
Remember the first time you were alone with Todd?
Yes.
When was that?
That would have been right around our engagement time. We cut wood for 14 and a half hours that day, and that was my first time ever cutting wood.
What was your impression of Todd Kendhammer?
Caring, very nice, taught me a lot.
Did you two seem to get along well?
Oh yeah.
How long after that was it that you and Jessica were married?
About a year and a half.
What kind of things would you do with the Kendhammer family?
Snowmobiling, like I said, dinner, either they came to our house or we went to their house, shopping at the mall, going to the Dells, Grand Fest once a year, we'd go up there, just kind of everything.
In September of 2016, a year and a bit ago now, were you planning to go to Cranfest that year?
Yes.
And to the best of your recollection, who were you planning on going with?
It'd be Todd, Barb, and a bunch of cousins.
When were you planning to go to Cranfest?
Would have been the week after the accident.
Do you know whether arrangements were being made to go to Cranfest the week of the accident?
Yes, they always take their camper up there a week ahead of time to get a good spot.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a plumber at Bernie Buckner Mechanical.
Okay, residential, commercial?
A little bit of both, but mostly residential.
If there were to be plumbing issues in the family, would you be the contact person?
I would be.
And were there any plumbing issues the week of Barbara's death in September?
The only one I can remember is the well pump at Joyce's house.
And just so we can be clear, who's Joyce?
Joyce would be Barb's mom.
And where in relation to the Kendhammer home in September of 2016 was her home?
Basically right down the hill. You can see it right from their house.
And what was the nature of the well pump problem?
The well was turning on and shutting off repeatedly without using any water in the house.
Did you communicate with Todd Kendhammer about that situation?
Yes.
And how was that communication accomplished?
Via text message.
Mr. Service, I showed you a document that's marked as Exhibit 273. And Judge, just for the record, I think we have a stipulation as to its admission, so I'd move admission.
Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Be received.
On that Exhibit 273, can you flip through? It's, what, about 5 or 6 pages long? Is that right, about 5 or 6 pages long?
Oh, yes. 6 pages.
And what is that?
These are the text messages that Todd and I shared back and forth regarding the well at Joyce's house and our plans for dumping our trailer and getting the flooring on Friday the 16th.
And there's some pictures there, are there not?
Yes.
And what are those pictures of?
That's the picture of the well pump at Joyce's house.
And were those sent to you?
Yes,
You didn't take those pictures.
correct.
And then did you respond after receiving those pictures?
I did after he asked me what I found out about the pump.
And what had you found out about the pump?
I talked to a plumber at work, and I found out that the pump most likely didn't have a check valve in it, or that the check valve was bad, making the water leave the tank, which would turn the pump back on.
And when was that observation by you made?
I think you want to know when I sent the message?
Sure.
I don't have any time on here.
Do you remember?
Yeah, it would have been, I think he sent these to me at night, so it would have been the next morning.
The morning of the 15th or the morning of the 16th?
I don't remember.
Is there a conversation about having it fixed?
Yes.
And what, just in general terms, what was the plan of action here to get the well pump fixed?
I told Todd that he should have a well guy come out and look at the pump and maybe have to update the entire well system.
And were arrangements made to do just that?
I do believe so.
And were those arrangements made for the repair on September 16th?
I'm not for sure.
Okay. The night of Thursday, September 15th, do you remember that evening?
Yes.
Where were you?
I was at a night school class for my plumbing apprenticeship.
Till when did the night school class go?
Till about 9 o'clock at night.
Were you in the middle of the remodel project at home during that time frame?
Yes.
And was that project, was Todd helping you with that project?
Yes.
Was Todd helping you with that project on the night of September 15th?
Yes.
How do you know that?
I had some sheetrock that was not hung on the wall, and when I got home from class, it was hung up there, and I know he's the one that did it because I was texting him, asking if he could stop over and do it.
And so your assumption is he indeed did do it
Yes.
and hung the drywall when you were at class?
Yes.
Do you know where your spouse Jessica was at the time?
She was most likely at Todd and Barb's eating dinner.
What time did you get home that night?
I want to say shortly after 9.
Did you speak with Jessica when you got home?
No, she was sleeping with our daughter.
Do you remember the following morning?
I do.
What do you remember about the following morning?
Normal morning. I had to work. I guess that's, I was talking to Todd before work. That'd be a text message again.
What time did you talk to Todd before work?
I start work at 7, and I do believe we were texting at right here, 6:45
6:45 a.m. on September 16th, you're texting back and forth with Todd Kendhammer.
Yes.
Generally, what's the subject matter?
We were talking about picking up the flooring for our kitchen and living room, and dumping the trailer because it had a whole bunch of drywall and garbage in it.
Was that sort of the next phase of the remodel project?
Yes.
Did you ask Todd to pick up the flooring?
I asked him.
And I realize this was a year and some time ago, so if you don't remember, that's fine.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Was there conversation about the remnants or the debris in the dump trailer?
Yes.
And were you speaking of having him assist you in getting rid of that?
Yes.
Fair to say that the two of you were making plans for the day at some level
Yes.
about him helping you with the remodel?
Yep.
Mr. Service, was this typical?
Yes.
Was absolutely everything about Friday, September 16th in the morning typical?
Yes.
Do you remember the last time that morning you communicated with Todd Kendhammer?
The last message he sent me was at 7:02 a.m. And then I texted him back saying, "I'll call you soon."
Did you call him?
I did.
Did you get an answer?
I did not.
Okay, you said you started work at 7 a.m. that morning. Are you able to make phone calls from work?
Yes, I have a personal cell phone I carry on me at work.
Do you know what time you tried to call Todd that morning?
It would have been around that 8 o'clock mark, but I'm not for sure exactly.
Okay. Did you get an answer?
I did not.
At what point did you become concerned?
After I tried calling Barb and then Todd again a couple times, and I didn't get a response out of either one of them.
Do you remember where you were?
Yes.
Where?
I was at a house in La Crosse, in their basement, unclogging a sewer at the time.
Would it be unusual for you to not receive an answer from either Todd or Barb having contacted them?
No.
At what point did you become concerned?
Again, I was concerned after calling both of them a couple times. and not getting an answer, just being that I was already talking to him, and he knew I was going to be calling him.
Did you call Jordan?
I did.
Did you get an answer from Jordan?
Not on the first time.
When were you made aware that there was an accident?
It would have been shortly after. I mean, I think it was less than an hour afterwards. Patty Kendhammer called me,
Patty is,
Todd's mom, and said that they were in a car accident and that they were headed to the hospital.
were you made aware of the severity of the accident at that point?
No.
Did you know who was injured?
I knew Barb was injured, and I didn't really ask a lot of questions. I was just told that we should meet at the hospital.
Where's the hospital?
I would have been Gunnarsson Lutheran on the south side of the cross.
You told us a minute ago that you were working on a sewer plug in a basement here in La Crosse.
Yep.
Was that close to Gunnarsson Lutheran?
When I got the call from Patty, I left that house and went back to our shop. And then that's when I let them know what was going on, and I left. So it would have been a couple miles away.
Is the shop here in La Crosse?
Yep.
You responded to the hospital?
Yep.
Who was there?
I got there first. I followed the ambulance on the way in. And then I don't remember who showed up right afterwards.
So you were at the hospital before Todd Kendhammer arrived?
Yes.
You were there before Jordan Kendhammer arrived?
Yes.
When is the first time you can remember seeing Todd Kendhammer that morning?
I don't know exact time. At least a half hour after I got there.
Is this in some sort of waiting room?
Yes.
Were you able to speak with any of the physicians or nurses about Barbara's situation?
No.
So you had no idea at this point?
Correct.
Were you able to see Barbara?
No.
When Todd arrived, how was he acting?
He was worried. He was upset about Barb. He couldn't explain what happened. He's kind of frantic.
Did he seem to be reasoned at all?
What do you mean by that?
Did he seem to have his thoughts together?
No, he was talking a lot, trying to make sense of what was going on, but couldn't really remember.
Did he appear emotional?
Yes.
Were you with... when did Jordan get there?
It would have been after I got there. I'm not for sure on the time.
Okay. Were you with Todd Kendhammer subsequently throughout the day?
Yes.
At what point were you made aware of the severity of the injuries?
But they had a brain specialist, or I don't know exactly the title of the doctor, come in and explain some of the injuries to what he knew at the time.
Do you know where Jessica and Carlin are at this point?
They would have been right next to us.
How did Jessica and Carlin get there?
Well, Carlin was still at daycare, sorry. Jessica was next to us.
Todd appeared concerned?
Very, yes.
Mr. Service, did you want to believe that you would be okay?
I did.
Did you believe that?
I did at first, but once we got word from a couple different doctors, I think that same doctor came back in and just kind of reiterated how substantial the injuries were.
At what point did you become aware that the end was near?
We were in the waiting room, and no, sorry. Jessica, me, and Carlin were in the basement in one of their doctor rooms. We were in there sleeping with Carlin. And I can't remember, I think Amanda or Jordan's girlfriend came down and got us and told us we should come up there. And explained some things on the way about how the pressure in the brain was too high and this and that. And so we both ran up there and all went in the room and basically said our goodbyes.
Were people holding Barbara's hand?
Yes,
Were you?
I did for a short time.
Did Jessica?
I can't remember.
Did Todd?
Yes.
Do you know what Todd was saying?
How much he loved her. He just kept saying he's going to take care of Joyce, and that everything's going to be okay. But he just kept, yeah, I remember plain as day. He was holding her hand, he was rubbing her hand, rubbing her arm. Just kept saying he loved her.
How many years have you known Todd and Barbara?
8.
In the 8 years that you've known Todd and Barbara, have you gone on vacation with them?
Yes.
You've been to their home?
Yes.
You've been to other family members' homes with them?
Yes.
You've seen them interact?
Yes.
You've seen them do normal things around the house on many, many occasions.
Yes.
In those 8 years, did you ever see Todd and Barbara Kendhammer fight,
No.
argue,
No.
raise their voices towards each other?
No.
I have nothing else, thank you.
Mr. Service, how long have you lived on East Scotch Cooley Road?
3 weeks.
You weren't living there then in 2016. Where were you living then?
In our house down in Alaska.
I want to just ask you a couple questions about the text messages that were sent back and forth. There was a text message that you sent to Todd at 6:48 in the morning that Friday. What was that text message?
You want me to read it?
Yes, please.
The text message states, I'll try to get to your work to pick up the Tahoe today because we need to get the carpet and flooring this weekend.
Now, I would take from that that you plan on going to his work, which was at Crown, that Friday during the day,
Correct.
because you needed to borrow his Tahoe.
Yes.
Do I take it from that that you assume that he was going to be working that Friday during the day?
Correct.
You didn't know at that time that he was going to be working nights, Friday and Saturday and Sunday night.
I can't remember.
his response was, can you read that?
I don't work today. I will dump it. Did you go pay for the flooring?
Okay. At that time, he hadn't told you that he was working nights, correct?
Correct.
That's all I have. I'm sorry, no, I have a couple more questions. I'm sorry. After the accident, did you ever ask Todd why he was heading north at 8 a.m.?
Not. I did not.
Did you ever ask Todd why Barb wouldn't be at work at 8 a.m. like normal?
I did not.
You understood that he was being charged with a crime and a trial was coming up, obviously, right?
I was not aware of that until sometime afterwards.
Okay. But in the last, certainly, year, you've been aware of that. You've been preparing for this day, right?
Yes.
Did you ever want to ask him why some things didn't make sense, like she wasn't at work and they were heading north?
I never needed to ask him that.
Did you ever wonder why the injuries were the back of Barb's head when it was a pipe that came through the windshield?
I never wondered why.
That's all I have.
Eric, anything else?
No, thank you.
This time, does any juror have a question of Mr. Cervez? See no hands. All right, Mr. Cervez, you may step down. Thank you.
Why that?
I'll take it.
David Adams.
Under penalties of perjury, do solemnly, sincerely, and truly declare and affirm that the testimony about to give in this matter shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Good morning. Could you state and spell your name for our court reporter?
David Adams, A-D-A-M-S.
Mr. Adams, where do you live?
I live on County Road C, N6815, West Salem. West Salem.
Who's your mother?
Joyce Adams.
Is she here today?
Yes, she is.
Your sister? Is that Barbara Kendhammer?
Yes.
Who's older?
I'm sorry?
Who's older, you or Barbara?
I am 6 years older. Yes.
Were you close growing up?
Very close. Very close.
Do you have any other brothers and sisters?
No, no others.
Are you married, Mr. Adams?
No, I'm not.
Who do you live with?
I live with my daughter, Morgan Adams, and my girlfriend, Stephanie Iverson.
How far from your home is your mother's home?
I would say quarter mile or less.
And in September of 2016, then, fair to say that you lived near to Barb and Todd Kendhammer?
Yeah, approximately the same distance if you drew a straight line and didn't follow the road.
Where do you work?
I work for La Crosse County Highway Department.
And what do you do for the La Crosse County Highway Department?
I am a section highway patrolman for the highway department.
What does that mean? Could you just tell the jury what that means practically?
I have a certain route of road which is in probably the northwestern part of the county, composed of 5 or 6 different roads that I take care of 365 days a year, on call at any time.
You have been here for the last week and a half,
Yeah.
listening to testimony.
Yes.
You obviously know where this accident occurred.
Yes, I do.
And where was that?
County Road M, close to Bergam Cooley Road.
In your capacity working with the highway department, are you familiar with that location?
I am. I've worked on that highway, yes.
Been in that area many times?
Very.
Is it in your sort of area?
It's not my area personally, but we are expected to go on all areas of the county and state roads as well.
Do you know Highway M at that location? Can you tell the jury what your opinion is about the road condition? At least in September of 2016?
Yeah, the Highway M runs from basically the north end of the county clear to the south. It's one of the longest county roads that we have. On this road are 2 quarries that I know of. It receives a lot of heavy truck traffic, and the road is getting to the point where it needs to be replaced. It's in pretty rough shape.
Does that road wear faster than others similarly situated because of the quarry trucks?
Absolutely, yes. They're basically tearing it up.
I see, I mean, I drive in rural areas and I see those signs, weight limit signs. Does that apply to Highway M?
No, it did not.
Why not?
They have to be able to get to a quarry to get rock and do projects on other roads, so they have to leave these roads unbanded and open so that they can.
Cell phone coverage. Are you familiar with cell phone reception in various areas of the county?
I am. I have to make calls at different times, and we know just about where you can and cannot make a call based on where you're at on any county road.
The Cooley region of this county has a great deal of contour to the land.
Very, very much so, yes.
Does that interfere with cell phone reception?
It is a terrible, terrible thing to try and make a call in some places, yes. Some places down in the valleys, you cannot make a call until you get to a ridge top.
Have you been to Todd and Barbara Kendhammer's house there on Scotch Cooley Road many times?
Yes,
Common for you to go over there,
yes,
visit with them?
absolutely.
How often would you do that?
Oh, I would say at least every week, I would say, we'd see one another.
How would you describe the interior of the home? In other words, was it neat and orderly? Was it untidy and messy?
Meticulously clean.
Sister Barbara, clean person?
Very much so.
Her whole life has she been like that?
Absolutely.
Prior to September 16th of 2016, do you remember when you were at the house most recently, prior to that date?
Yeah, I believe it was the weekend before the Friday and weekend of the 16th there. Go ahead.
Do you know why you were there?
Yeah, we're all planning to go to Warrants for the Cran Fest, so it was kind of my job to go up and reserve the site, you might say, that we wanted to get and stay at, and we would all camp on one site. And I went down and talked to Todd and Barb on what site they could remember that they wanted, and what, you know, get some choices, and made up our mind which ones we should go for first, second, third, fourth, whatever. And then it was my job to go up and reserve that site, and then I would be staying there for 2 weeks.
Mr. Adams, do you have a travel trailer as well?
I do, yes.
So was it your intent to pull your travel trailer to Warrants
Yes.
to locate the Primo campsite?
That was the objection, yeah, or the objective, yes.
So the meeting at the Kendhammer home the week before was purposed in doing just that,
It was.
charging
yes.
you with the task of going to get the good campsite.
Exactly.
Did you succeed?
I did.
When did you go up?
I went up Monday morning, I believe would have been the 12th, I believe.
You plopped your trailer down?
I did.
Did you communicate with Todd and or Barbara Kendhammer about your experience?
I did. I did. Cell signal is not very good in Warrens, Wisconsin either at times. So we do know that a text goes out from there. So I did text Barbara, and I let her know that we got the site that she wanted, and I was set up on it, and I kind of told her what the arrangement of campers would be on that site, according to what I thought, and she was very happy. What I got back was awesome, or something like that, I guess.
How many years had you guys been doing this?
I would say 40 years.
Of those 40 trips to Cranfest, how many were with your sister?
Almost all of them, I would think. I can't think when she wasn't ever there.
When did Todd show up?
Quite some time ago, I'm sure.
Well, we know that they had a 25th wedding anniversary
Right,
in
right.
August.
At least 25 years ago.
Something you guys have been doing every year for many years.
Yes, absolutely.
Family, friends,
Yep.
big group.
Yes.
What would you do in Warrens? Because you said you went up there for 2 weeks.
Mhm.
What would you do for the first week?
I went up and I went fishing. There's several lakes up in the area. I went fishing. I would go around town and just check on where everything was set up or being set up. Find out different places in the area if we wanted to go and visit something else. Just relaxation on a vacation.
There has been talk of a Ford F-250 windshield throughout this trial.
Yes,
You've heard that?
I did.
Were you, in the times that you visited the Kendhammer home in the summer or September, early fall of 2016, did you ever see that windshield at the home?
I did, yes.
Where was it?
It was in the attached garage onto the house where you exited the, you might say the entry door into the garage. And I remember saying, I would get that out of there before somebody trips over it or knocks it over and busts it.
Barb, keep that garage pretty clean as well?
Yes, very, very much.
You, in the 25 or 30 years that you've known Todd Kendhammer, you, I assume, have seen him interact with Barbara frequently?
Yes.
Do you have an opinion about their relationship?
Yes, I do.
And what's that opinion?
Very, very good relationship. Always very good to one another. Todd has been wonderful to all of us. Just couldn't say anything better about him.
Your mother had a well problem on the week of the 11th, I guess it'd be.
Well, we kind of thought it was a well problem.
Oh.
She'd had some problems beforehand with a pipe coming from the well itself to the pump that had broke, and this was years before when my dad was still alive. And we thought possibly it was something to do with that. That had been fixed, no problems.
When you say we and you use that pronoun, who are you referring to along with yourself?
My mom, myself, my dad, Todd, Barbara.
Okay. So there had been a previous issue with the line coming into the house,
There had, yes.
and that was many years ago.
Yes, it was.
Okay, but in September of 2016, was there also another issue?
Yes, we kind of thought it was possibly the same thing because the pump kept running without using any water. We couldn't figure out what was happening with it.
And did you subsequently determine what the cause of the problem was?
I did not, but my cousin, who was visiting my mom, did figure it out.
And what was the problem?
It was a downstairs toilet, kind of downstairs. There was just a shower and toilet downstairs, and then her laundry and stuff is down there. It was. Something with that toilet was seeping by or whatever and making the water go automatically so that it was running. And he fixed it.
On September 16th, were you unaware that it was simply the leaking toilet, and did you think it was something more severe at that point?
I did. I thought it was going to be something severe again that we'd have to dig up again. But
And were you communicating with Todd about that problem?
yes, I think we talked about it, yeah.
With respect to your mother, did Barbara call your mother often?
Yeah, usually every morning on her way to work, she would call her, yes.
And what about Todd? Would Todd call her often?
Yeah, Todd would call it too if they were both off or doing whatever. Sometimes Todd would call, yes. Not always in the morning, sometimes later in the day if they didn't get a call in the morning too.
Mr. Adams, when did you become aware of the accident on the morning of September 16th?
It's Friday morning. I got a call from Michael Service, actually.
Did you go to the hospital?
Yeah, we were actually fishing, and he called and said that we should come to the hospital, that they'd been in an accident.
So you were up in Warrants.
I was.
Who were you with?
My son Daniel.
Did you leave immediately?
Yes, we did.
Do you remember when you got to the hospital?
Not exactly a time, no. Most people were there already. I guess most of the people that were there all the time were already there when we got there.
Did you talk to Todd?
I did.
How was he acting?
He was a frazzled mess. He was just shaking uncontrollably. He was having trouble talking. He was very bad shape.
Were you able to see your sister?
I was.
When?
Soon after I arrived, I think Todd took me in there.
Were you aware of the gravity of her injuries at that point?
Not before I had gotten in there, no.
Speak with the physicians or the nurses?
I did.
And were you subsequently made aware of the gravity of her injuries?
I was.
Did you stay at the hospital that entire day?
Oh, yes.
Stay that night?
Yes, I did.
A lot of people there?
Yes, full.
When did you learn of Barb's passing?
Sometime early Saturday morning. Todd was in with her, and he came out and he broke down. And he said there's nothing they can do for her.
Is your mom there?
Yes, she was. No, I can't be sure of that. She might have went home. I'm not sure.
Were you able to go in and say goodbye to Barbara?
Oh, yes, I was, yes.
Did you touch her?
Yes, I did.
Touch her hand?
Yes, I did.
Nothing else? Oh, I'm sorry, just one last question. And you probably heard about this during some of the testimony that Barbara's tissues and organs were donated.
Oh, yes.
Was that a decision that was made at the hospital?
I believe so.
Were you part of that decision?
No, that was immediate family with the kids, and Todd had made that decision. We were aware of it, I mean, right away, but it's a private thing for them, I figured.
Thank you.
Great.
Mr. Adams, I just have a couple of questions for you. Do you remember talking to Sergeant Williams from the Sheriff's Department September 22nd of last year at the house?
I guess, I'm not sure what the officer's name was, but I did talk to someone, yes.
A couple of things you mentioned to him was that you said that Barb was a very punctual person. Is that accurate?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You also said that Barb was always in contact with her mother. You thought it would be odd that day that she wouldn't have called her.
Yeah, it had happened where she didn't call because she was running late or something to get to work. But normally she would call.
You also said that that weekend you thought that Todd would be on vacation because you'd all be going camping.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Barb worried about her mother, her health.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Did you think it was odd that Barb's phone would be in the back seat where she couldn't reach it?
No, not necessarily.
Do you think it would be odd for Barb to have dirt on the passenger seat she'd be sitting on?
No,
You don't think that's odd?
I don't think it's odd being what supposedly went on. I guess no.
Well, you don't think that dirt would have been there before?
Oh, absolutely not.
Barb was a very clean person.
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
The car was very clean, yes.
She wouldn't have dirt on the seat or in the trunk normally, would she?
Not that I can think of.
She took care of her hair and her presentation. She's a very clean person.
Very much.
She wouldn't go to work with dirty nails, would she?
I can't think that she would in food service.
You thought it was odd that there was no bump on that section of Highway M.
Well, can I elaborate on that a little bit?
Well, first let's establish, do you tell the officer that?
I did, yes.
Okay. You thought that there should have been a bump where a pipe would have been dislodged from a vehicle and you didn't find any, right?
Yeah, we had just recently replaced a culvert on M close to that area, and that's what I asked him. I said, would it happen to have been in that area? And he said, no, it was farther down the road.
Right.
That's all I knew about it.
You also said that you thought if something came through the windshield, Todd should have stopped on M when it happened, not on Bergen Coulee.
Yeah, you know, I don't know what he was going through at the time to get pulled over. Made sense to get off on the main highway, I guess, for traffic. That's the only thing I could think.
Did you ever ask Todd why Barb wasn't at work at 8 like she was supposed to be?
No, I did not. No,
You haven't asked in this past year?
no, I have not.
You haven't asked him why he was driving north looking for a truck at 8 a.m.?
No.
That's all I have.
Mark, any other questions?
Yes. You've known Todd a really long time, right?
Yes, we have. Yes.
Todd's a busy guy, isn't he?
Constantly busy.
He's always doing stuff, right?
Absolutely.
He's doing windshields. Yes?
Yes.
He goes to work full time.
Yes.
He spends a great deal of time with Barb.
Yes.
He goes camping often.
Yes,
He's got donkeys at the house that he takes care of,
yes,
a dog he takes care of.
yes,
He cuts firewood all the time.
yes,
They heat with an outdoor wood burner.
yes,
He's got a detached shop that he welds and paints and fixes motors in.
yes,
He buys things to resell them to turn a small profit.
yes,
He's flipping houses.
yes,
He's helping his son-in-law and daughter remodel their home.
and myself. Anything I need,
He's always doing something, right?
yes,
He's always running around.
yes.
Nothing else.
Mr. Grinke?
Nothing else?
At this time, does any jury have a question of Mr. Adams? At least one? Okay.
In a minute.
Five, three, six. Seven, four, two, seven, five. Oh.
274 through 277.
Adams, the juror questions are marked Exhibit 536. The first one is, in a role as a county highway worker, would you be responsible for the removal of debris from the road or shoulder?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Second question, when driving along M in the month before and after Barbara's death, did you ever notice any pipes on the highway or on the shoulder?
No, I did not see anything, and I did look.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Mr. Adams, you can step down then.
Okay.
We'll take a short break here and then also then determine when we'll do lunch since we started a little late. You step out, don't talk to anybody about the case. We'll take approximately a 15-minute break, give you an idea. You may all be seated. The record can show we're now outside the presence of the jury. Just a few things. I guess they're asking about potential accommodations. Do you anticipate all the witnesses will be done today or not on both sides?
I think so. I do.
Okay. I don't know what time will be done today. I suppose if we have time and we've gone over and we can do instructions yet today and then do the plan for tomorrow.
Timing-wise, Judge, I think that the defense, I have 2 more witnesses. Mr. Hurley has 2 as well. None of them are particularly lengthy. So I would, at this point, estimate an early afternoon rest by the defense.
Okay, and then Mr. Grinke, what approximate do you anticipate right now?
Right now I have 2 rebuttal witnesses that will be very short. I told them to be here at 2:30.
Okay. All right, well, why don't we try to get through the instructions at some point here, not at this moment, but we'll go through those again to do another edit, and then I'll give you another copy, and then we'll do a final view of that, and if we have time, then we'll try to do those today to move forward. So, I guess for the lunch break, how much time do you think you need at the moment before we try to have the lunch ordered for the jury? If we start back up again at about 25 after.
We can fill whatever time you want.
Well, we can go to about 12:15 or thereabouts.
Well, and we can go just till noon if you'd like, and we can
Well, we
probably break then.
Started late, that's fine too. If that works, then we'll do that.
Fair.
Okay. Anything else either side want to put on the record before our break?
No, Your Honor. No, sir.
Okay. In recess. Seated. All right, the record can show that we're back in the courtroom outside the presence of the jury. Are we ready to continue?
Yes.
If they're ready, you can bring them in. You may all be seated. All right, Mr. Bednarik, you can call your next witness.
Russ Hicks.
Under penalty of perjury, do you solemnly, sincerely, and truly declare and affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Good morning, Mr. Hicks.
Morning.
Would you please state and spell your name for the court reporter?
Russell Hicks, RUSSELLHICKS.
You know Todd Kendhammer?
Yes, he is my first cousin. His dad and my mom are brother and sisters.
Who's older, you or Todd?
I am.
By a lot?
6 years.
You have a lot of cousins?
Yes, we do.
Big family?
Yes, we're actually pretty close. We have a lot of gatherings. We do a lot of things together. Todd and I and our families are actually really close. We go to Warrants. We every year for sure at the end of the year, September, is when they have the Cran Fest. So we go 2 weeks early, and then
Let me interrupt you for a second.
Okay.
We'll get to that in a little bit. But first I want to know about your relationship with Todd. I mean, I know you two are cousins.
Yep, we do a lot of, actually our family's we've been going like Wisconsin Dells during the winter. You rent one of those rooms with let me rephrase that. You rent one of those units with the 5 bedrooms. You have 1 kitchen, we have 3 baths, so our family, we spend, last couple winters we've done that, because he has a grandchild and my wife and I have a grandchild.
How old's your grandchild?
My grandchild is 11 days after Todd's.
Oh, so very close in age.
Yes. Barbie was always talking to my wife about how they were going to go strolling, doing a lot of things together. And we only got, 2 years with the kids.
I understand that you live near to where Barb and Todd Kendhammer lived. Is that a fair statement?
Yes. We live, as I can walk out my front door, look at my front yard, I look right at Todd's house. I'm only 700 yards away. I could see the front of their house and the garage.
You've been over to Todd and Barbara's house many times?
Yes, we go there. We play games, talk, campfires outside.
When you say we, who do you mean?
We is my wife, my daughter. If my son and his wife and grandkids are around, they show up too. But they live up north. But no, we, my wife and I, and my daughter, because she still lives in the house with me right now. Ashley is her name.
That's your daughter's name is Ashley?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. She, like I said, she comes and does a lot of things with us all the time.
So fair to say, although you and Todd Kendhammer are first cousins, also friends, is that right?
Yes, yes, because if he needs help on something, or I do, he comes down, we exchange favors, as you would say, because when they go up north in the winter times, snowmobiling, my daughter and I, we go up there and take care of they have pets, and we take care of the outdoor wood stove.
Keep an eye on it.
Yes.
Keep an eye on their
Yes, we do that, and then he comes down and take care, because I have cattle and dogs and that too, and chickens. And
Mr. Hicks, do you deer hunt?
yes, I do.
I wonder, do you go to deer camp with Todd?
Actually, no, I don't. My cousins have. I have land, like I said, just right before Todd and Barb's house, and so no, we didn't. In our real young days, we used to hunt together.
Okay. You spoke a moment ago when we started about your intent to go to Warrants for Cranfest that weekend in September. Is that accurate?
Yes. That Friday morning, my wife and I were loading up our camper, and we do the finishing, loading up, and then we unplug a cord because you got to pre-chill down your cooler or your refrigerator in the camper. That doesn't cool down in one day. It takes like 2 days usually.
So is it accurate if I said on Friday, September 16th in the morning, your wife and yourself were leaving for Warrens with your camper in tow?
Yes, we. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry.
She can only record one of us at a time. So.
All right.
That morning, Friday, September 16th, your wife, yourself, with your camper in tow, you were headed for Cranfest?
Correct. We left at approximate 8 o'clock that morning. And as we finished, got loading, and we loaded ourselves in the vehicle and we drove, it just started sprinkling at our house. So I had to just start turning the wiper blades on for that.
Okay. And you're headed towards Cranfest?
Correct. McMullen Park. That's where Barbie's brother, David, already had a campsite for us because we all go together every year.
Did you get together prior to going up there to talk about campsites?
Actually, my wife is usually the one that will talk to, like David, she's the one with the texting. I don't text.
So she was the coordinator?
Yes,
All
she's
right.
more, yes,
All right, did you know that he was up there already and had commandeered the campsites?
yes,
So you were headed to meet him,
yes,
to put your trailer there?
correct.
Were you gonna spend that entire week there, or were you gonna return?
We were going 2 weeks. We've been doing this for 13 plus years. The group we have, plus other family and friends that come and do it with us.
Okay. Everything was going as usual that Friday morning?
Yes, it was until we showed up at McMullen Park. And as soon as my wife and I came in, we paid for the site. And we were gonna get set up. And David and his son Daniel, they come flying in. And that's when they told us that Todd and Barb was in an accident and Barbie was in the hospital.
What'd you do?
My wife and I, we finished setting up and they went to the hospital right away.
Did you, at that point, know the severity of the accident?
No, we didn't. My wife started receiving phone calls and texts from our other family members, telling us about it. And we sat there just stunned. I mean, we didn't know what to do, honestly. But I knew all my family and Todd's family, other family, you know, his other relatives he has on his wife's side, that they were all piling into the hospital. So I kind of told my wife, I said, we'll wait till the morning because everybody's going to be there.
Did you spend that night at the campsite?
Yes, we did. It was a very long night.
Did it come to be that you returned to La Crosse area the following day?
Yes, Saturday morning real early, we come in, my daughter, my wife, and I, and my son showed up. He lives up in Osseo with his wife and our grandchild. They showed up a little bit later that morning, but when we showed up, everybody, a lot of them went home because they did not sleep at all in the hospital all night, and everybody was around Todd. So we came in, and we were with Todd the rest of the day until Barbie was pronounced dead.
When did you learn of that?
That was in the afternoon. Later on, I couldn't give you exact time. I did not watch time.
Were you able to see Barbara before she passed?
I did not want to because what everybody told me what she looked like. I refused. So,
Good number of people at the hospital?
yes, there was a lot of people.
Emotional?
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Hicks, what, if anything, did you do to help?
We stayed with Todd because, like I said, we're close with Todd and Barbie and the family. And at the end, when they pronounced Barb dead, excuse me. It took his brother Johnny, his wife Julie, my wife Lisa, my daughter Ashley, my son Joshua, his wife Barbie, and our granddaughter was still there. And Jordan was there, and other Jordan, his girlfriend. It took us quite a while to convince him to leave because he did not want to leave. I don't blame him. My wife actually told him that.
An objection to hearsay.
Sustained.
Did you eventually leave the hospital?
Yes, we did. Once we convinced Todd to leave, we walked him down to the parking lot. And he got in the car, in the vehicle with his son Jordan. And we told him to go to his mom's house and stay there. And we would go take care of the house, and they had one pet left. Susie, the dog, that we would take care of that.
I mean, you told us earlier that you can see their home from your home. And
Yes,
that, and that you oftentimes help them when they're out of town or.
yes. We always go out and take care of the things for the house for 'em.
Is it fair to say then that you informed Todd you would go take care of the home?
Yes. Actually, it was my daughter Ashley and I, because we always go out together and take care of the animals and that. And as we told him and the family, because Todd was in no condition to drive. So.
Did you and your daughter Ashley then go to the Kendhammer residence?
Yes, as soon as we, my house is before his, so I dropped my wife off because she does not like the driveway going up there. She's like Barbie. Barbie didn't like it during the winter time. So anyways, when we drove up there, the first thing was there was the Tahoe, their vehicle was connected to the camper. The slide out, they have about a 15, 20 foot slide out on the camper, was extended out. There was an extension cord connected to it. The actual keys were in the ignition of the Tahoe. I took those out and I put those into the house. I had to go through the garage to get into the, the house. I put them on the island there.
The house, was there a spare key that let you into the house?
Yes.
It was locked, the home?
Honestly, I couldn't tell you that exact if it's locked. They usually do have it locked.
Do they have a spare key, or did they?
Yes, they do.
And is that
They have it hidden.
Did you know where it was hidden?
Yes, because all the years we took care of the house for them.
You told us a minute ago that the trailer had this is Barb and Todd's trailer, had a
Correct.
15 to 20 foot slide out.
Correct. Yes, you have to have that out to get into their refrigerator or into the back rooms. Yeah, otherwise everything's kind of crunched up when the slide out's in.
And the slide out was out?
Yes, it was.
And is that something that would be done when you were preparing the camper to go somewhere?
Yes. That was all, like I said, it was still hooked up to the Tahoe because their driveway up there is pretty tight. I'm amazed how Todd can jack it around and get the camper up there. It's a real tight area up there. And the steps were down on the camper because it's a high camper. You gotta have the steps down to walk up into it. The camper door was open, and when we looked through the door, we could see a set of female sneakers in there, right in the doorway. There was a pair of them.
Do you have an opinion about whose sneakers those were?
They were Barbies. She has smaller feet.
Mr. Hicks, did the camper in every way, shape, and form appear to be prepped for camping that weekend?
Yes, he does it the way I do it. So, I don't have a slide out on my camper, but yes.
Did you feed Susie?
Yes, because Susie was behind that, we had to walk around the Tahoe and the camper. It's on where she is. She's by the detached garage where the extension cord was running into that.
Did you go into the home that morning or that afternoon?
I did. When I saw the keys in the Tahoe, I took the keys out because I didn't think Todd was going to be back for a couple days after what happened. So I took them out. I walked in the house through the garage, and I put them on the island in their house, and then I walked back out of the house through the garage, the attached garage.
The house itself, was it neat, orderly?
Yes. Barbie does a fantastic job cleaning, yes. And the garage is always super clean, too. It's a beautiful place.
In all the years that you've known Todd and Barbara, did you ever know them to argue?
No. No, honestly. That's why my wife and I love being around them, because those two reminded of us, because we do everything together ourselves. We try to, we're best friends, and I've seen those guys the same way. That's why we love doing things with them.
I don't have any other questions.
Ms. Domsky?
I believe you described your relationship with Todd Kendhammer as close. Is that correct?
Yes, we are close.
And also with Barbie, as you call her, that you were close with her?
Correct.
In the time following the accident or in the year that's passed, did you ask Todd why he was heading north on Highway M that morning, away from West Salem?
Did I ask him?
Yes.
Afterwards, I would say yeah, I probably asked him.
What did he tell you?
He was going to go do a windshield, I should say.
Did he say whose windshield he was doing?
No, Todd has done many windshields before coming up to Cranfest.
Did you ask Todd why Barb wouldn't have been at work on time that day?
Oh, I couldn't tell you.
Did you ask him how she sustained the injuries to her face, head, neck, arms, legs?
Did I ask him?
Yes.
I didn't have to ask him.
So you didn't. Did you ask him?
No, I didn't ask him.
Nothing further.
No, thank you.
This time, does any juror have a question for Mr. Hicks? I see no hands. All right, you may step down.
Your Honor, at this time I would recall Captain Zimmerman adversely.
Under penalties of perjury, do you solemnly, sincerely, and truly declare and affirm that the testimony about the witness matter shall be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Good morning, Captain.
Good morning.
Just a few things I want to ask you about that we didn't cover before.
Sure.
In the course of your work in this matter, did you have occasion to apply to the court for search warrants on several occasions?
Yes, I did.
And I'd just like to go through generally the places for which you obtained a warrant and in some instances what you obtained as a result of that warrant.
Okay.
Was there a search warrant issued for the residence of Todd and Barbara Kendhammer?
Yes, there was.
And in the course of that, was the home searched?
Yes, it was.
And as we heard testimony about a detached garage or detached building, was that also searched?
Yes, it was.
Were any buildings on the premises searched?
Were any of them?
I'm
sorry.
No, I'm glad you're correcting me. Were all the buildings on the premises searched?
I believe so, yes.
In the course of the search, did you take any computers that were found?
The investigators that were at the residence did seize one computer, yes.
And in addition, when the search warrant was applied for, did you additionally apply for permission to search the cell phones of Barbara Kendhammer and Todd Kendhammer?
There was either subpoenas or search warrants completed also for the cell phones, yes.
And were they in fact searched?
They were, yes.
Did you obtain from the searches of those cell phones what are known as extraction reports?
Yes.
And extraction reports are reports of the information that forensic investigators were able to obtain by either visually or electronically going through those telephones.
That's correct.
You also obtained a permission to search the automobiles of the Kendhammers, is that correct?
I believe the automobiles that were at the residence were searched also, yes.
In the course of the search of the residence, here, so you know, I'm going to refer to the return on warrant. When a police officer searches pursuant to a warrant, subsequent to the search, does an officer make a return on the warrant in which it informs the court that issued the search warrant what items were taken as part of the search?
That's correct.
So if you'd like, I'd like to go through your return on the warrant from the house. Did you obtain life insurance documents from the office?
I believe so. I did not complete that return,
Okay.
but I believe that was listed on the return items.
We heard testimony from Mr. Scott from the crime lab that he examined a sink stopper. Was the sink stopper obtained from the laundry room of the Kendhammer home?
I believe so, yes.
He also tested, or was submitted to him for testing, a heavy hammer. Was this found in the trunk of the Corolla?
Without referring to the document, but I believe so, yes.
I've placed in front of you the return portion of that warrant. And I believe you signed that return, is that correct?
I did. I was advised what time the search warrant was completed, which I believe I was at the residence at the time the completion of the warrant.
Does that refresh your recollection about the items which you told the court had been seized from the premises?
Yes.
Can you tell the jury what items were taken and what rooms they were taken from?
Item number one was life insurance documents, and that would have been taken from the office area of the, excuse me, of the residence. Would you like me to just go down the list?
Certainly.
Item number two was a sink stopper, and that was seized from the laundry room of the residence. Item three was a heavy hammer, and that was in the trunk of the Corolla, which was parked at the residence. Item four was a steel bar, also removed from the trunk of the Corolla. Item number five is listed as unpaid bills, and this came from the interior of the Corolla. 6, 7, 8, and 9 were swabs from the garage floor, swabs from the inner service door of the garage, another swab from the garage floor, a swab from the outer service door of the garage. Item number 10 was a black laptop, and that was found in the office of the residence. Item number 11 were bills found in the desk drawer of the bottom right of the desk from the office. 12 was bills found on top of the desk in the office. Item number 13 was garbage removed from the office. Item number 14 is listed as taxes, and that is from the file cabinet in the office. Item number 15 was the utility room sink, that there was a swab taken from the sink in the utility room. Item number 16 was a pair of Asics shoes, and those were seized from in the garage next to the steps which led into the house. Item number 17 was a hammer with a detached head, and that was from the shop bench. Item 18 was a automobile/truck windshield, which was located in the detached shop. And item number 19 was a dirt sample taken from in front of the red shed.
Thank you. You referred to a Toyota Corolla. The Kendhammer vehicle that was on Bergham Cooley Road on the morning of September 16th was a Camry, is that correct?
That's correct.
So the Corolla in which you found the items you just told the jury about was a different automobile that was in the garage of the Kendhammer home.
I don't believe it was in the garage. It was parked in the driveway of the residence.
In the course of your work on this matter, did you have occasion to obtain from the court a search warrant for the Facebook accounts of Todd and Barbara Kendhammer?
I did, yes.
And in that warrant, did you request any and all information that Facebook might have concerning those accounts?
I believe so, yes.
Did you obtain a warrant for the U.S. cellular accounts of the Kendhammers?
I did, yes.
And did you in fact obtain that information?
I did, yes.
And did you in fact obtain the information from Facebook pursuant to the warrant?
Yes.
Did you also apply to the court for a warrant for any accounts that TransUnion might have concerning Barbara Kendhammer or Todd Kendhammer?
Without seeing the original document, but I believe I did, yes. No, that's okay.
Take a look at this and tell me if that's all fresh as your recollection.
Yes, it was a subpoena to TransUnion.
And did it request a full credit bureau information check?
Yes.
And did you obtain those documents?
Yes, I did.
Did you also obtain a warrant addressed to Seven Bridges Bank in Holman?
Yes.
And did that warrant ask for any and all information concerning checking, savings, loans, mortgages, loan applications pertaining to Barbara and Ted Kendhammer, including loans approved or denied, and any adverse action notices?
I believe so, not to that degree of what you explained, but yes, there was a warrant.
Would you like to take a look at it to make
If
sure?
I could, please, yes.
Sure.
Thank you. You are correct, yes.
Did you also apply for a warrant for a search of the records of First Community Credit Union regarding Todd and Barbara Kendhammer, asking for precisely the same things that were asked for in the Seven Bridges Bank warrant?
A warrant or a subpoena, yes.
And did you obtain those documents?
I believe so, yes.
Did you obtain the documents from Seven Bridges Bank?
I believe so, yes.
Did you apply for a warrant to Wells Fargo Bank or issue a subpoena to Wells Fargo Bank asking for their records to the same extent as you had asked the other banks?
To the best of my recollection, I believe so, yes.
And did you obtain those documents?
Yes.
Did you apply for and obtain a warrant to Gunderson Health System? Or, I'm sorry. Did you issue a subpoena to Gunderson Health System
Yes,
concerning the records of Barbara Kendhammer?
correct.
I'll show it to you to refresh your recollection. In that subpoena, did you request all medical records, including all behavioral health records, for Barbara Kendhammer?
Yes.
Did you obtain a warrant to be issued to Google for the purpose of obtaining the records of email accounts on Gmail for Ted Kendhammer and Barbara Kendhammer?
I believe so, yes.
And in that warrant, did you ask for any images, internet usage logs, email header information, emails, dashboard data, including GPS information?
Yes, I did.
And did you obtain that information?
Yes, I did.
Did you issue a subpoena to Thrivent Financial Life Insurance for any and all records that it had concerning Ted Kendhammer and Barbara Kendhammer?
I believe I did, yes.
Would it,
Could I take a look at it just to refresh my memory? Thank you. That's correct. I did write the subpoena.
and did you obtain the information from Thrivent?
Yes, I did.
At any time in the course of work on this case, did you or anyone working with you search the property of Barbara Thompson?
The property was gone to, it was not searched.
Was Barbara Thompson interviewed by you or by anyone working in conjunction with you on this matter?
She was interviewed by myself via telephone that she was on the West Coast.
I've handed you what's been marked as Exhibit 274. Your Honor, I believe the prosecution and defense have agreed that this matter may be received into evidence.
Is that correct? Is that the FBI report? Yes, Your Honor.
All right, 274 will be received.
In the course of your work on this matter, was there occasion to submit to the FBI laboratory in Quantico, Virginia, items of evidence?
Yes, there was.
And can you tell the jury what items of evidence were submitted to the FBI laboratory?
There was seven items that were submitted to the FBI. Would you like me to list them individually?
If you would, please.
Sure. One was the original pipe that was recovered from the scene.
It might be helpful, Captain, if at the same time you told them what it was, you placed the FBI laboratory's designation of an item
Okay.
along with it.
Sure.
So that pipe from the scene, they listed as item A. Is that correct? Or item 1?
Item 1, yes. Item 1-1 was the original packing from item 1. Item 1-2 was debris that was removed from the packaging of item 1. Item 2 was debris recovered from the front edge of the trunk opening of the 2009 Toyota Camry. Item 3 was debris from the driver's side interior trunk wall of the 2009 Toyota Camry. Item 4 was a bag which was recovered from the trunk of the 2009 Toyota Camry. Item 5 was a pad from the trunk of the 2009 Toyota Camry. Item 6 was a glass sample from the exterior of the windshield of the 2009 Toyota Camry. And item 7 was debris from interior of windshield of the 2009 Toyota Camry.
If you would, I'd like you to turn to page 2 of that document. On page 2, does the report of the FBI begin to give the results of its examinations of these items?
It does. There's a subheading that says results of examinations.
And within that subheading, if you would go to the last paragraph on page 2, which you'll see continues just a little bit on page 3, if you would read to the jury that paragraph, please.
The paragraph reads as follows. Numerous glass fragments were recovered from the pipe, item number 1. 10 of these fragments were selected for analysis. The glass recovered from the pipe, item number 1, is indistinguishable in physical and optical properties from the glass from the exterior of the windshield of item number 6. And the glass recovered from the surface of the interior windshield pane, item number 7. Therefore, the possibility that the glass from the pipe, item 1, originated from the same source of glass as the exterior of the windshield, item 6. And the glass from the surface of the interior windshield pane, item number 7, cannot be eliminated. Additional glass that was not analyzed was recovered from the pipe, item number 1.
And could you turn now to page 5? And here you see another subheading, results of examinations.
I do, yes.
If you could read for the jury, please, the 2 paragraphs within that subheading.
Insufficient soil for analysis was recovered from the debris from the front of the trunk, the driver's side interior trunk wall, and the pad from the trunk, items 2, 3, and 5, respectively. The soil recovered from the pipe, item number 1, and from the bag from the trunk, item number 4, contains an inseparable mix of at least 2 different soils. Accordingly, no conclusion can be reached as to whether or not the soil present in the debris from the front of the trunk, the driver's side interior trunk wall, the bag from the trunk, and the pad from the trunk, items 2 through 5, could have originated from the same source as the soil present in the debris recovered from the pipe, item number 1. The original packing from the pipe, item number 1-1, and debris packaged with the pipe, item 1-2, contained additional geologic material that was not analyzed.
Thank you. Can we turn on that device, Madam Clerk? Your Honor, the prosecution and defense have stipulated that exhibits 275, 276, and 277 may be received into evidence.
Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, exhibits 275, 276, and 277 will be received.
May I publish, Your Honor?
You may.
Let me show you what's been marked as exhibit 275. Do you recognize this?
It's what appears to be the passenger side interior of a vehicle.
And is the focal point of this photograph the glove box?
It would appear to be, yes.
I'm using my pointer to outline an area just above, including the lock to the glove box. Do you see that?
I do, yes.
Does that appear to contain a mark from something that at some point dripped down?
It appears to, yes.
Now I'm going to show you exhibit 276. Do you recognize that as a close-up of an area on the glove box?
I recognize as a close-up photo. As to the glove box, it could be.
I'm going to use my pointer to outline an area above and to the left of what appears to be a measurement sticker. Do you see that?
Yes, I do.
And does that appear to have a reddish hue to it?
Reddish orange, yes, it does.
I'll show you exhibit 277. Does this appear to be another photograph of the same area?
It does, yes.
I believe those are all the questions I have. Thank you very much, Captain.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take our noon recess now, and state can conduct any questioning of Captain Zimmerman when we come back. You step out, don't talk about the case, and we'll be out until at least 1:10.